All right, we're rolling again. Yeah, it's second episode of the Sink or Swim podcast. I'm James Koval.
And I'm Mitch Shaw.
Yeah, today we're going to talk a little bit about how do we get here? What are the steps that we actually take to get from either not coaching or club coaching or part-time coaching into these kinds of jobs where you can really say that like coaching is your livelihood.
Yeah.
There's a lot of resources out there. There's job boards, there are Swim, the NCAA marketplace. Can
Yeah.
you talk a little more about you may or may not be looking into that market here pretty soon? But
Yeah, absolutely. So like James said, it's kind of like your traditional job avenue, kind of like LinkedIn or job seeking boards, all that. College swim coaching positions, even college positions in general, they have their own secure place where they're all at. I'm sure you can find them, of course, on the school's websites or other things, HR postings, but like NCAA marketplace is going to be your best friend. That's a thing that I found out a long time ago when I tried to apply for a GA position back in the day. So if you're looking for that, that's free grad school. And most importantly, just like anything else, it's just about finding a fit that works for you. And again, swam's a great thing for swimmers. I mean, that is one of our trusted news media sources, just with information getting out there about our community in general. But there's other people that are doing some great things in our world too that really do shine light on these job opportunities. So I know James can kind of speak more into diving into those things, but yes, I may be looking soon on the horizon. Who knows? Just because as my life progresses, I've been a assistant coach for 4 years or 4 seasons now at the Division III level. I've passed on a lot of job opportunities. We said it in the first podcast, but RIP to my alma mater, in Notre Dame College. They did offer me the head coaching job before I turned it down, and then they shut the school down that same year. So hindsight 2020, we definitely made a smart decision. It was a hard one, but again, there's opportunities out there, and I know James can speak to that as well.
I spoke on the last podcast about how it was kind of that COVID time when I started applying to coaching jobs. It was after a lot of unsuccessful engineering job applications, and I started applying to these coaching jobs, and I saw the marketplace. The jobs are out there. Some jobs are going to look really great. Some jobs, coaches already have somebody in mind. So not every job that's listed is necessarily available, but a lot of them are. A lot of them really are coaches, especially these GA positions, these lower entry level positions where they're really just trying to take in somebody who's excited. So you can really use these as opportunities to meet people, expand your base. If you really nail an interview, you may not get the job, but you can absolutely parlay that into, hey, a friend of mine is going to need an assistant coming up soon, and I'm going to tell them that, you know, you were one of the best applicants for mine. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely something that if you just keep putting your name out there, it's going to add up. People are going to know you. People, if you interview well, you may not get, obviously, you're not going to get every job, but it's funny. I remember being on the pool deck in a meet and I got a text message from a coach that was like, hey, you still looking for a job? I heard from a friend that you were a good interview. I'm like, I was on deck with Carnegie Mellon at the time. I was like, no, I'm good. I got a job. Thanks.
Yeah.
But
So to speak on that, how many job applications do you feel, or how many interviews, job applications, even the process, like speak on that when you were first
yeah,
getting in here? How did that work out? Like, was it a one time fit or was it like trying to find the right shoe? Can you elaborate on that?
it's important to remember that just because you're interviewing, just because you apply for a job doesn't mean you like have to accept it. Just because you interview for a job doesn't mean you have to accept it. You're offered a job doesn't mean you have to accept it. So it is about finding that fit. And people interviewing you, they have motives. They're looking for a certain thing. You're looking for a certain thing. So if you're interviewing for this job, you're talking on the phone, like make sure you ask the questions that are important to you. How much is it going to pay? How many months of the year are you working? A lot of especially entry level positions are 9 or 10 month jobs where for 2 3 months you're not getting a paycheck and you got to figure out how you're going to fill that gap. So ask those questions. Is that something that's right for you? What is expected of you in the role? just because you're interviewing, it's all just, like I said, it's just building, getting your name out there, it's building up. It doesn't necessarily have to be binding. And if something doesn't feel right, like chances are it's probably not going to be right. I've interviewed for jobs at places where I just got kind of a sinking feeling about the direction of the institution. And like you said, you kind of had that same feeling, even at your alma mater. As much as you wanted to,
Yeah.
resurrect that program, you could kind of sense the writing was on the wall. Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I love how you spoke about that because just like any career field, again, this podcast is two different perspectives. Doesn't look like it, if you know me, I'm 30 years old. So it's funny because that was always my dream and my inspiration was to be a college coach. Even when I came right out of school, I was like, all right, how am I going to get to college coaching? So I need to go back, try my master's for teaching because I graduated with a public relations degree. I was in Pennsylvania. So I was trying to figure out a way to become not only a full-time coach, but eventually get to college coaching. I had many different career routes that led to high performance triathlon coaching with an awesome group of kids and people and a great sport that I fell in love with in triathlon. And, that also helped propel me here. I still was able to club coach, but I also worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I had miscellaneous jobs. I taught swim lessons. I was aquatics director. I've been head of marketing production at a business. Great opportunity I was at. So, I've had a lot of odd jobs trying to figure out how to get to this spot. So again, elaborating on your point, it's interesting that as people we can always get defeated, especially when we hear that no or you don't get that response right away. Again, keep trying. Kind of like James elaborated on it. He went and found the right fit. And, I would love to figure out how you kind of got to Carnegie Mellon and really what propelled you to make that next move there.
Yeah, getting to Carnegie Mellon, it was a lot of applying for jobs, and it's actually something that I kind of just had an epiphany. It was that COVID time, post COVID. I was working in a FedEx. I couldn't, that place was just too stressful for me. So I was working in a Jason's Deli, which was a little more my speed. I was doing deliveries, things like that. And I don't remember what it was. I saw a coach that I knew had just taken a bigger job. And you know what? Like, this seems really fun, getting into this carousel and, just putting your name out there. And at the time, like I said, I had dozens of unsuccessful engineering applications. I was like, well, what's a few more swimming ones? And I actually started to get some interest right away. I would say I probably applied that first summer 40 something schools, all in total. And I maybe got 7 or 8, not interviews necessarily, but some kind of feedback. And that kind of percentage, it can be daunting. That's just the job market these days. And like I said, sometimes coaches already know who they're looking for. They already have somebody in mind when these jobs are posted, especially if they're just posted on the school website. That's kind of a big flag that they have someone in mind. So don't tie yourself down. Like, if you're like, this job is perfect, I'm going to apply to this job, and maybe one backup. Unfortunately, you're kind of setting yourself up to be a little disappointed, because these things are not 50-50 propositions. They're not even close. It's a lot of putting your name out there and getting the right situation that comes along. So yeah, I applied to a lot of places. One of them was actually Manchester, and I was rejected from that job. And then a few months later, you got, so you
Hey,
never know what somebody's
different
looking for at a different time.
different
But
coaching
yeah,
staff.
yeah, was lucky. Yeah, different coaching staff for sure. Was lucky enough to, yeah, I got rejected from the job, and then a few months later, I was your reference for the job. Matt Kinney and Alicia Gorman, who was the diving coach at the time, one of the best diving coaches in D3, they interviewed me. It was a multiple part series. I kind of was like, oh, this is Carnegie Mellon. It's cool that I'm even being considered. And lo and behold, they were really looking for someone to come in without that. I was like, I don't have experience. Carnegie Mellon, it's like a top 10 team. I'm getting rejected from these low level teams. They're not these. These guys aren't going to take me, but it's nice to be considered. But they were really looking for somebody who maybe necessarily didn't have that experience, and kind of building them up. And I'm really grateful for that kind kind of philosophy because, I wouldn't be here in a head coaching position now if it weren't for those 2 years I was able to spend at Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah, and I love how you spoke about that. It's actually kind of funny because I remember helping you move to your
Mm-hmm.
apartment down there. Coach Kenny helped you out, and great guy. I got to work camp with you and him. That was awesome, and even a little more overlap. Even after you left Chatham, I was able to apply an interview with Coach Kenny. Wasn't accepted for the position, but it was a great interview, and even I never even thought I'd be in that position to even interview with a school like that. So it's really intriguing because, again, you've always kind of been that driving force for me, at least, to make that jump. Because going back again, I remember moving you in and just going, man, like, he's got it. Like, how did he get here? What were the steps? And I was just sitting there to myself thinking, I need to make this jump. I was working at a factory in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was lucky enough to have an awesome job opportunity there, go back to coaching swimming and triathlon a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't my true love. I was lost, and it was a lot. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of hard work. It was good work, but again, it was not what I wanted to do. So, I left
I
that
remember,
position. Yeah, I
yeah, I remember
left.
talking to you about on that in that moving truck, just like,
Yep.
dude, you're not happy. You get like you would be happy doing one. You can get into this. Like
Yes.
it's not that, it's hard, but it's you can do it, man. Like
And
you had more experience than me at the time, I would say for sure.
yeah, coaching wise for sure. But the best part about this podcast is that I love is we're two different levels of athlete. I can speak to that full heartedly. Trust me, I am not your superstar athlete swimmer. I was the guy who really had to put in the work. And even in college, I had 3 surgeries in 4 years and still got faster. So you were someone who really was put in the work, put in the time, got really talented out of it, and that work paid off. And look where you ended up swimming, man. I mean, that's the thing is that again, we're two different people from two different backgrounds, but have the same love and the passion. And that's what we're trying to tell everybody out there is that whether you're someone like you who was really at a high level in the sport, or you're someone like me who just happened to, have a love and a passion for something and just, again, like you, continue to grind every day, practice, work hard, and really push that dream to another level, So if you're ever thinking it, if you're not good enough, I'm going to sit here and tell you that's not true. Whether you're the best swimmer in the high school and you want to be a college D1 athlete and then a coach after, I'm telling you, you can do it too. It doesn't matter. It's just about having that hard work, that grind, and that work ethic and the dream. It's a good opportunity. It's a way to ins- inspire people. Yeah, I don't know. I just get so excited talking about it.
So once you have that foot in the door, I think the things that definitely help you. You mentioned camp, and it's doing the camps, and it's putting like that's one great way to put your name out there because I know camps are always looking for, you know, all these major universities have their own swim camp. I've worked at Carnegie Mellon. I've worked at University of Georgia, which is a much bigger camp, and I've had my on the Chatham. We've started running our own very small swim camps that we're looking to grow. But working at Georgia, like all the people I've worked with, a lot of the coaching staff, there are a few current athletes who kind of compose the staff, but it's mostly the assistant coaches, D3 head coaches, a few people who just love doing it. They've been doing it for 20 years and they keep coming back to camp. Shout out Elizabeth Likens from UNC Asheville. She's way too overqualified to be hanging out at the UGA swim camp, but she still comes back every year, dispenses her wisdom. But it was funny. I've done it for 2 years. I'm going to be going back for a third year now. I can look and I can count the number of coaches who I've worked with at these camps who were assistant coaches when I met them. They're now head coaches. Nick Bresci at Roanoke College. Susanna Martinez was just named the head coach at Cedar Crest. I'm going to blank. I'm going to miss a bunch. I'm going to mess up people's names. You can cut this whole part out. At least the two that I remembered off the top. But yeah, I think that's kind of a statistical unlikelihood that so many have come right like immediately. But it does go to show putting your name out there, putting this on your resume, whether you just have that tiny bit of coaching experience with your local team, sign up for a camp. If you want to get into college coaching or if you want to get into like that full-time club coaching, there's a lot of money in that these days. Having these things on your resume it's a 1 or 2 week commitment, but it can really boost, and you can get these really big names on as references, and it really helps
Yeah.
the way you look to a team or a
I mean,
school.
you and I could both arguably say we work for two of the best swim camps in the country, top five at least. Where I've been blessed enough to work in Michigan for the last 2 summers. Not going back this summer though. Going to be doing a little traveling and all this other stuff. So some fun things in the horizon for sure. But it's an awesome opportunity. Like you said, you just get to meet so many people. My mentor in Roger Carnes, I've got to meet Kurt Kerner over at Hillsdale College. Chris Hamstra at Alma, great people. And now I've
Oh,
got to work with,
Chris,
yes,
Chris
yeah,
with the he.
yes,
I gotta give him the shout out. He wears the kilt
yes,
at
he
the
does.
finals. Yeah,
Yeah, that's my dude.
that's some
He's a
dedication.
That's a great coaching friend of mine, even mentor. These camps are they're great ways to just go learn more, and at the same time, there are opportunities out there for high school coaches, for club coaches.
Hmm.
Camps are so impactful and they're always looking for help and even going on a volunteer basis. I mean, I got to work at camp at Michigan where it was Mike Bottoms last year. I've actually got to work with Jim Richardson, one of the best women's coaches and even greatest minds in our swim community in the entire world. So it's
Hmm.
really awesome because, like you mentioned, I've met people who have got better jobs or even better opportunities in this sport. So it's exciting because just the people you get to meet are so awesome, whether they're from Division 1 Michigan or Division 3 Manchester, Chatham, or NAIA. So
At
there's just so many opportunities out there.
I would say at the very least, even though I haven't gained any direct professional leg up from having worked these camps, I've definitely met great people. I've learned, like, every time I go down to Georgia, I learn a ton from the other coaches, from the kids, even from the UGA staff. So yeah, it's a great experience, and I know there's a lot of great camps out there just like it. Yeah.
References too.
Oh yeah.
That's the
Oh
best
yeah.
part. They'll call for you. You ask for a reference and you do a great job. Hey, that's someone in your back pocket where an AD will call and they'll speak highly of you, and you never know what can happen. So yeah, absolutely.
So changing gears a little bit here, it is conference championship season. You guys are this coming weekend, right?
Yep, we start Wednesday, so it's exciting. 8 free relay, some 3 meter diving to start. Yeah, I'm ready. The team's ready, men and women. It's gonna be fun after looking at the psych sheet and seeing where our athletes lie. And it's for Manchester, men especially. It'll be one of the most impactful years in our program's history. And women, they may be small, but they're gonna have one heck of a fight. So I'm ready for it. So now you're the week after, correct?
We're the week after, and with kind of these on the coaching end of things, yes, it's the end of the season, but it's also that kind of job cycle starting back up. So it's an interesting time, and I'm also interested to see even the transfer portal, if that is something that's going to be more and more utilized by athletes in this
Well,
new climate. If you're not
yeah.
happy where you're at, but you still want to do the sport, it's absolutely something that is an option for you.
We can talk about this for hours and hours and hours, of course. But you read the news. I mean, with Division 1 roster limits coming and other things like that in our sport that are pretty, even across the NCAA landscape, that are going to be with NIL changing. I'm
Mhm.
excited too because I think it's going to. I'm a I'm not excited for the roster craziness that's going to go on or even roster mania, but I think a lot of D2 and D3 and NAIA programs are really going to benefit from getting some great athletes that are going to still have that passion to swim. It's just a matter of finding your fit if you're not happy. And that just comes down to you. So no, I'm
Yeah.
ready for you too. And we can talk about how a lot of these jobs are opening up in the spring. Head
Hmm.
coaching, assistant coaching, GA jobs. A lot of roster moves start after conference, before right around after nationals. So
Yeah.
it's
When it
it's going to
comes
be
in waves.
crazy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have those initial jobs that open up March right after the conference meets, or even February if the teams are like really in. If you had an interim and it's going to open up. After that, when every new head coach gets hired, they need to hire a staff. So April, you get a lot of assistant jobs or jobs where an assistant left to go get a bigger. It's a carousel. So all through the summer, it kind of is waves and waves. If you're in that position, if you are thinking about entering the kind of full-time coaching realm, it's about to be a really fun time for you. So you can reach out to us. We got a new email for the podcast that is the sink or swim pod at gmail.com. So you can email us, you can DM us on Instagram, ask us questions if you are in these shoes of somebody who's looking to get into this field. We're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify Podcasts. We are, well, let me check right now because it should have been uploaded to YouTube like as we
We
speak.
were doing this. Nice. That's
We do. It's on YouTube. Our first episode's on YouTube.
see, bada bing,
So yeah,
bada
go
boom.
watch that. This second one
Yep.
hopefully will look a little better.
Hey,
But yeah, that's it for the second episode of the Sink or Swim podcast.
ironing it out. So thank you guys. We appreciate you all. Especially if you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
100%. All right. See you later.
See you later.